This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. The website is www.growbecauseyouknow.com, welcoming you to the Morning Mindset. Today we're reading Think and Grow Rich, pages 78 through 81, followed by discussion from those in the comment area and those who want to join me in live stream and have an active discussion. So let's get started, shall we? We start on page 78, which begins, Chapter 5, Specialized Knowledge, Personal Experiences or Observations, the fourth step towards riches. There are two kinds of knowledge. One is general, the other is specialized. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety it may be, is of but little use in the accumulation of money. The faculties of the great universities possess in the aggregate practically every form of general knowledge known to civilization. Most of the professors have but little or no money. They specialize on teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize on the organization or the use of knowledge. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. It is nothing of the sort. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. This missing link in all systems of education known to civilization today may be found in the failure of educational institutions to teach their students how to organize and use knowledge after they acquire it. Many people make the mistake of assuming that because Henry Ford had but little schooling, he is not a man of education. Those who make this mistake do not know Henry Ford, nor do they understand the real meaning of the word educate. That word is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. Henry Ford comes well within the meaning of this definition. During the World War, a Chicago newspaper published certain editorials in which, among other statements, Henry Ford was called an ignorant pacifist. Mr. Ford objected to the statements and brought suit against the paper for libeling him. When the suit was tried in the courts, the attorneys for the paper pleaded justification and placed Mr. Ford himself on the witness stand for the purpose of proving to the jury that he was ignorant. The attorneys asked Mr. Ford a great variety of questions, all of them intended to prove by his own evidence that while he might possess considerable specialized knowledge pertaining to the manufacture of automobiles, he was in the main ignorant. Mr. Ford was plied with such questions as the following. Who was Benedict Arnold? And how many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? In answer to the last question, Mr. Ford replied, I do not know the exact number of soldiers the British sent over, but I have heard that it was a considerably larger number than ever went back. Finally, Mr. Ford became tired of this line of questioning, and in reply to a particularly offensive question, he leaned over, pointed his finger at the lawyer who had asked the question, and said, If I should really want to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of the other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require? There certainly was good logic to that reply. That answer floored the lawyer. Every person in the courtroom realized it was the answer, not of an ignorant man, but of a man of education. Any man is educated who knows where to get knowledge when he needs it and how to organize that knowledge into definite plans of action. Through the assistance of his Mastermind Group, Henry Ford had at his command all the specialized knowledge he needed to enable him to become one of the wealthiest men in America. It was not essential that he have this knowledge in his own mind. Surely no person who has sufficient inclination and intelligence to read a book of this nature can possibly miss the significance of this illustration. Before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge of the service, merchandise, or profession which you intend to offer in return for fortune. Perhaps you may need much more specialized knowledge than you have the ability or the inclination to acquire. And if this should be true, you may bridge your weakness through the aid of your Mastermind Group. Andrew Carnegie stated that he personally knew nothing about the technical end of the steel industry. Moreover, he did not particularly care to know anything about it. The specialized knowledge which he required for the manufacture and marketing of steel he found available through the individual units of his Mastermind Group. The accumulation of great fortunes calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. The preceding paragraph should give hope and encouragement to the man with ambition to accumulate a fortune who has not possessed himself of the necessary education to supply such specialized knowledge as he may require. Men sometimes go through life suffering from inferiority complexes because they are not men of education. The man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much a man of education as any man in the group. Remember this if you suffer from a feeling of inferiority because your schooling has been limited. Thomas A. Edison had only 3 months of schooling during his entire life. He did not lack education, neither did he die poor. Henry Ford had less than a 6th grade schooling, but he has managed to do pretty well by himself financially. Specialized knowledge is among the most plentiful and the cheapest forms of service which may be had. If you doubt this, consult the payroll of any university. It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. First of all, decide the sort of specialized knowledge you require and the purpose for which it is needed. To a large extent, your major purpose in life, the goal toward which you are working, will help determine what knowledge you need. With this question settled, your next move requires that you have accurate information concerning dependable sources of knowledge. The more important of these are A, one's own experience and education. B, experience and education available through cooperation of others, Mastermind Alliance. C, colleges and universities. D, public libraries, through books and periodicals in which may be found all the knowledge organized by civilization. E, special training courses, through night schools and home study schools in particular. As knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put into use for a definite purpose through practical plans. Knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application toward some worthy end. This is one reason why college degrees are not valued more highly. They represent nothing but miscellaneous knowledge. If you contemplate taking additional schooling, first determine the purpose for which you want the knowledge you are seeking. Then learn where this particular sort of knowledge can be obtained. From reliable sources, successful men in all callings never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major purpose, business, or profession. Those who are not successful usually make the mistake of believing that the knowledge acquiring period ends when one finished school. The truth is that schooling does but little more than to put one in the way of learning how to acquire practical knowledge. I am going to stop there, because I think that's some good stuff to discuss. Oh, hello, everybody. Hello, Sabrina. Good to have you with us. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Julian.
Good morning.
Ian or Ian? I usually go with Ian to be on the safe side. I want to welcome everybody in here. And then we have Tom. Welcome, Tom. Sandeep is my guest from India. Good to have you with us. Those who do not have a copy of Think and Grow Rich, here is a PDF. So you can do a glance over of page 78 to 81. All righty. Welcome aboard, Sabrina. How are you this morning?
I'm exhausted. Look at my hair. I think that fixing your hair is too much work. I think I'm going to quit. You know what? I think it was easier just to like do nothing. Just go.
I think it looks adorable.
I think it looks adorable. I was thinking of
Julian thinks you look lovely. So
a little hairspray in it, make it stand on in, and just say good to go.
Absolutely. Why not? Good morning, Fred.
And I'm exhausted getting up to make it to the show, you know. But
and
I did.
You know how glad I am you did. I'm so proud of you. So
I did my homework, washed my hair.
You are just awesome.
I know I'm on a roll today.
Have you had a cookie yet?
No. I'll get my tea first, though. I do want to say I did my homework, and there was some pretty impressive stuff in this chapter today.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, there's some things that I actually wrote down that I thought were pretty powerful. The first two things, actually, that I thought were very powerful in our read today. One was specialized knowledge. And I'm an eternal student. So I, every single day, am somewhere on the web learning something. So clearly, to be successful, I need to stop that. Really. Because I need to get some specialized knowledge, pick something and like follow it down the path. But the other part that I thought was quite of particular interest today was mastermind groups. I had no idea that Ford or Carnegie were in mastermind groups. Who'd have thunk it?
Could be why I'm forming some, right?
Yeah, could be.
Could be why I've been in one and I have guided one, moderated one since 2009. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love what you wrote. Now, I am a lover of knowledge. I have been reading and learning, my mother says, since I could open my eyes and understand the written word. My preference has always been put me in a corner and I will learn something. What I didn't have was a plan to put it to use. So I've always thought, and I still say it, that knowledge is power. And that's because when presented with a situation, with something new, if I have an accumulated knowledge of that which I've learned through books, that which I've learned through groups like this, the accumulation of that knowledge can help me move forward. Knowledge is power in the information world. When I know more than you do about something in particular, I have leverage. So we have that. But
you can't know more than everybody.
That's it. I'm always learning. So what this piece of the book is saying is that, and Tom just put it into words.
Yeah, come on, Tom.
Taking the action.
That's what we're here for.
It's taking the action. It says, knowledge is useless and specialized knowledge is useless unless it is putting it in action towards something that you're learning about. So what's the plan of action? So I am still one who just simply loves to learn things. I love to learn quick, quirky little things. The what ifs, where did that come from? What can I do with that? I can and I do use it in my writings, and I use it in educating other people and bringing ideas to other people to think a little differently. The other thing is, what else did he say? Knowledge for knowledge's sake. I was one of those. I grew up and I was told that you go to college and you get a liberal arts degree because the act of learning itself was sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I got my first apartment, and my husband, soon to be, he was a good friend of mine, came over for dinner, and I burnt the grilled cheese and had no idea I was supposed to put more water with the noodles.
Oh. I
had no practical skills. I had no way I had not learned anything that was of any use, but boy, my head was filled and I sure could sound smart.
On that note.
Give me a math problem. It was no big deal, right?
That was me. That was me too. Give me a math problem, no big deal. Have I mentioned I like to sniff Sharpies? There's one in my hand.
You do know that you are being recorded and that 36 people have now seen your confession. But that will explain the next comments that you put forth here. So yes, Deborah, action is the key. So There's another thing I loved in here, and it is the Mastermind Group. And success, Sean. Sean, so glad you're here.
Sean.
Actually, Sean and I are going to host a Power of Mastermind Group lab later this morning. So the acquisition of knowledge is important. Okay, it is important. And I like that Napoleon Hill makes it clear that it pays to know how to purchase that knowledge. So you already have some from your own experience and education, regardless of the schooling you've had. You can get more specialized knowledge by surrounding yourself with people who know things that you don't know, that you can access. You can get that specialized knowledge and skills by going to college or going to paid classes or what have you. Now, in my profession, there's two things that I specialize in. One is internet marketing, and one is information for businesses. Both of them require that I stay on top of the skill set. I'm always putting to use and challenging myself and finding the information, curating it, organizing it so that it can be used to make business decisions. Mm-hmm. And that is a skill that when you haven't used it in a while, and that's happened where I got months and months went by without a research project, or I was focused on something else and I had to dive into it again. Getting back up to speed required that I get with people who know more than I do and ask those questions of, so what's happening today? Where can I get this, that, and the other? I've not sure where to go with this. I still absolutely, I'm a lover of learning, and Mr. Numbers with behind your name, also known as Elliot, just looked at your profile, Elliot. Yes. Being inquisitive is a good indicator of a level of intelligence. Yes, liberal arts degrees, I have no problem with them. But with this book, if we're going to acquire money, if I'm going to acquire the numbers that I have on my definite purpose, I have to have a plan to put my knowledge to use in exchange for monies so that I can have what I'm looking for out of my business, right?
Okay, now remember, one of the things mentioned in this chapter today was being asked to pay, whether the student makes good grades or poor, has the effect of causing one to follow through.
Follow through. Yeah. The action. So do you really have to stop learning something new every day?
No, but you definitely have to charge. That's clearly what that says. Even if it's a little bit, you have to hold people accountable by charging them. I tell people that all the time. When you give away free stuff,
yes,
you are negating the value of your product or service.
Yes, I'm not one to give discounts, or rarely do I give away something free that isn't a precursor to. You definitely, if you really want more, it's almost like a test. Mm-hmm. If you want to know more, find out a little bit now, and now if you want to know more, here's where you can get it. So moving forward with the idea that, and I honestly, I've never thought this way, so it's new to me, that you really don't know much, but to rely on the other people who do to get their knowledge to put it to use. I'm not familiar with that at all, and I'd love to have somebody jump in and share how they see it. I'd love to hear how you see it, Sabrina, because I've always been one that researches. And
yes,
there was a time.
Yeah. You're a researcher by nature.
Yeah. So, it would put me in analysis paralysis, and then I learned how to pull myself back, that I had enough to move forward with, and I'm learning to pull myself back a little bit more so that I move forward quicker with the knowledge that I have. So I think that I personally have quite accidentally done that. Yeah? Actually.
Okay. Surrounding myself. I mean, I don't do research, but I know where to find you. True?
Well, as a researcher, that's something that I always tell my colleagues and those similar businesses that I have and my clients is that it's not me that has to know everything. It's me that has to know where to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been in terms of the tools. And
Yes,
being able
tools.
to, I mean, I know the library.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sean, did you record that? That would have been kind of fun if you recorded that. Because then I would have wigged out with you because we're supposed to do something later today on the internet. So please, there's empty seat here. Somebody join us in the discussion. I'd love to know
Come on in.
what you
Somebody'd
thought
like
about.
they can get
Yeah, about the reading. The reading touches on the importance of a mastermind group, of seeking out those who know more than you, surrounding yourself with those who know more than you, taking a specialized knowledge and putting a plan of action into place that puts that knowledge to use. And that was a stumbling point for me. And I think it's a stumbling point for those who want to start their own businesses too.
So when you talk about putting a plan of action into use, do you consider it on the consider it even on the lowest level, such as for your day?
I would think so, because that which is a part of my morning routine sets me up to move forward in the day for my ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
Ultimate goal. And it used to be I relied on just to-do lists, turned me into a worker bee rather than the pilot. But now that I'm the pilot of the business, I know that while there are to-dos and those that need to be delegated, there are also things that I have to do mentally to prepare myself for the day and physically, because there are things that are happening today that are happening on purpose to directly related to building my business, which is directly related to my ultimate goal.
That's powerful stuff.
That's yes. So it does come down to the daily activities as well. Mm-hmm. How about you?
I have very specific things that here's where I'm going to fail though, that I try to do every single morning to get my day set up. But sometimes that list you're talking about gets in the way. And I think, oh my God, I've got to get this done before this time, or I got to get this done before that time. And then I miss that setup. And when I miss that setup of my day and that plan and that mental and physical, put it all into motion, it wreaks havoc on everything else. It really does.
Because it doesn't set the day up the way I want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm loving the participation that I'm getting in this morning mindset. I'm loving that you're here and that others are here. It helps to cement what I want and what I need to get going and moving forward in the day. And that's to get my thinking right.
Mm-hmm. Come on, you guys. We want to hear how you set up your day or what your plans are.
Or what you think about what Henry Ford said was, who the heck cares about the stuff that extraneous stuff that doesn't really matter to my business or to my day. Oh, Eric, I'm so glad to hear that. Setting up your day listening to this blab. That's awesome.
Eric, but you can participate in this blab. Come on in. Say hello.
Tear yourself away from that computer.
Tear yourself away.
Yeah. I think that what's italicized on my copy of the book that I read from is when Henry Ford was being questioned by the attorney. And it's about him at page 79 when he says it was not essential that he have this knowledge in his own mind. And again, he knew where to get it from. But there are still some things that are essential. If we're going to specialize, if I'm going to have skills, oh, Eric, he did pull himself away.
There he is. Yay!
So proud of you. So proud of you. All right. So what do you think, Eric?
No, this one really resonates with me. I was in the Navy and thought I was going to go to school. I had the money set up from school and really decided, oh, wow, I can go out and just make money and learn as I'm going here. People took my my military experience as college level experience. And as a software developer, that may sound strange because obviously you need a lot of science.
Specialized.
Yeah, but not really. What we found, as I went through the years, is kids coming out of college are learning antiquated technologies. The professors are, 8-10 years behind. They're teaching C, and you don't come out into the real world. Well, they're teaching these old languages, and they're coming into the real world, and we don't really do that here. You're going to need to learn this in order to it's a good foundation. Don't get me wrong, but the issue is you need to love what you're doing. And a lot of kids were going to school just, you can make money at this, and they didn't love what they were doing. And but back to this point is that to surround yourself with the people that have the knowledge. And as a software developer, you go into these different departments. I had no idea about accounting. How am I going to do this? I know how to program it, but how am I going to, you want a ledger, and what does that mean? And so, you start surrounding yourselves with your projects, and that's what a team becomes, a project becomes, is people that have specialized knowledge, and that becomes your mastermind group for that particular project.
Oh, true story. My daughter was is a avionics tech. In fact, she's about to become the first female chief of avionics.
Fantastic.
In the Air Force. And she left the Air Force for a short period of time because Siemens offered her a job. Mm-hmm. And it was a good job based on just the stuff that she had learned there in the Air Force. And it was, the people that she ended up surrounding herself with as a result of that. I mean, we're talking some amazing people. And so I think it's really important that everything that you're talking about here is very positive. Just, surround yourself with the right people and go to those people and get the correct answers. And all of that will roll back down to you in some way.
And one of the things I love this story with Ford and listening to asking all these general questions of, and why do I need to know that? I'm running a company. If I take my focus off of that and go learn about what happened in ancient Rome, I'm not going to be able to run my company. If I want to know about ancient Rome and something, I'll go ask somebody, or I'll get an encyclopedia at the time. Obviously, they didn't have the internet. Today, we can learn about anything we want at the touch of our fingertips. It's completely, it reinforces what he said even more so.
Google.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right. No, I'm sorry. No, the researcher in me is rebelling. The knowledge lover in me is rebelling. And the finder of information and knowledge needed to move forward is rebelling because it's not all on the internet. I still go to the library because not everything is on the internet. And I can go into the intranets and into what we call the dark web, which is the second layer, and find things that nobody else, you just can't find at a touch of a button. So I need to put that disclaimer in there.
Okay.
Well, at his time, what he had to go through in order to find out information, what we have to go through is worlds apart. Right? For the most part, you can go out and get a lot of information on one subject. So
the principle, though, I think, is what you described as is yourself, which is I'm a programmer, and this is what I do. There are some things I don't know how to do. So here are some people that I am going to go to ask to be a part of my business or a part of my inner circle so that I can go to them and find out, what am I supposed to do next? How does this part work? It's like me building a programming team. I no longer program. I don't do it anymore. So why should I go and get that specialized skill and specialized knowledge when I can develop a team or put together a team for the project, right? I'm thinking that's what I heard, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's what they were saying in this chapter. You put together teams based on the mission. And even in the military, you put together a team based on the mission that you have at hand. Everybody has specialized knowledge in certain things, and not everybody's going to know everything. So right. You put those people together and create those groups. Hey, Sean.
Morning, Sean.
Yeah, one of the things I learned early around this is, and I was also in the Navy, and this was learned in the Navy, is it's not always what you know, it's what you know how to find. Whether it's who I can go to ask that question, or what book can I pull up, and like you're saying, Eric, today, can I go find some information on the internet? I agree with Charlene. There is a ton of information at our fingertips.
Mhm.
but there is a lot that you still have to pull out a book or
Sometimes you have to
dig
talk
deeper.
to somebody.
You dig deeper, yeah. There's some
Sometimes
stuff
or you cheat and you have
some things
somebody
you
that
just
has 20
can't
years
learn
of
that way.
experience in it, and you just ask them, "Hey, how does this work?" And you can
well,
explain it.
there is that as well. That's not cheating, but there
No,
are.
but that's what Henry Ford was saying. Is I
Yes,
have
yes,
people that
that's exactly what he was
yeah, I
saying.
don't know about oil rigs. I don't want to know about oil rigs. If I need to know about oil rigs, that's the guy over here. I'm going to talk to him about it, and he's got a whole team of people he doesn't know that he can go to to get me the information that I need.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is powerful. Having that team is powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
We have an
But
open
it is very
seat. Anybody
valuable
wants to jump in?
to and that's why it's important to specialize, because then we can focus on our zone of genius instead of trying to know
That was so hard for me.
a little about everything. It's something that I will wrestle with as well.
I
still want to know everything about everything.
I'm a knowledge sponge,
Yeah.
Yes, that's me. I'm a sponge, and I mean, I know a lot about a lot of things, and can pull on it, and it's nice and it's helpful, and only recently, being in the past few years, did I realize it didn't do squat to grow my business.
So I think that's one of the advantages. I think that's one of the things that drew me to be a programmer, was that you get involved in everybody else's business. Not only, so you do the programming, that's one area, but you get to be involved in every department in a company, from marketing to production to operations, and learn about their area of the business as well. And you never stop learning in the software development side, but you also never stop learning on the business side. And I thought, to work with the people that I was able to is
right.
Way better of an education than I was going to get going to school.
So you came at it, though, from the different side. I came at it in terms of, Chuck, try again. Charles? There you go, Chuck. Try again, dear. I came at it from knowing a whole lot without having the ability to identify that which I was really going to target. And then as I moved, well, actually, when I first started my business, I was very targeted. And then what happened in the economics of our world flipped it. So I had to adjust and change. Now I'm going back to it. But even then, though, the changes that I've been making in the past year, I have been gaining more knowledge and skill and identifying really what I want to focus on. I still already know all the other stuff, and I can tap into it, which is nice. But even better is I finally learned how to ask for help, ask the questions, not be concerned about rejection, because some people will. They'll just look at you like you're crazy, can't believe you asked that. And I say, well, then I got to move on and find somebody else, don't I?
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. But then we have this mastermind that Ford had and that Edison had and others had, which is, I call it the inner circle, that is specialized, that is focused, that is targeted. So very similar to what this is like a book discussion, but it can be viewed as a mastermind because we're sharing our viewpoints and our experiences on it, and occasionally bringing up a problem with or a struggle with, and others are coming in with answers and solutions that I wouldn't have, that you wouldn't have, or been able to come up with yourself. How's that?
Right, and you're comfortable enough, and you're past the point that they think you're crazy for what it is that you're trying to do. Your group is crazy, right? They all have the same ideas of this. There's lots of examples of that over the years, and of course, all those crazy thoughts turned into fantastic products that we have today. And
it does, but what just struck me is that so many are viewed as complete loners, and we know that that's just not true in getting loners in terms of I created something by myself. That can happen, but then what to do with it is where the other people play, right? So we all have
walking the journey alone can only get you so far.
Yeah.
But it's in bringing together that team, whether it's through a mastermind or other ways. That's what brings in the extra angles and pushes it forward to be like, you know, everybody loves to talk about Steve Jobs, and he had great ideas, but he didn't do it alone.
Right.
He wouldn't have been, you know, Apple wouldn't have been what it is if
he was the face for Wozniak, right?
Yeah, well, you know, Wozniak and an entire team.
Right.
But even out of the garage, Wozniak built the thing and didn't know how to market it, and was just happy being in the dark, right? And Jobs was like, no, we have to do this, we have to do this, and kept pushing him out of his comfort zone, and and everyone thought they were crazy for that, right? That person.
What's this crazy box they're working on, right? What are they pushing?
Well, that anyone would use it, right? That anyone.
Oh yeah.
There was a demand for that, right?
Well, see, I'm reminded of. I don't even. His name just escaped me. The founder of Oracle, who came out with the first portable word processor.
Yeah.
A working portable word processor, and was brought on television and presented it and showed people, and nobody could figure out why anybody would want that.
Yeah, imagine.
You know, could not figure out why anybody would want that. So that happens, but I don't think that is a personal failure nor a company failure if we're surrounded by the people that say, so that didn't work, but what can we learn from it and move forward with it? You know, do we take the technology there? So they're not ready for portable. Let's take the programming that's involved and see what else can we do with it and build something from that. I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head now.
That brings to mind, there was a quote that kind of jumped out at me, or a line in the reading that jumped out at me. And that was, do not take temporary defeat as failure. So it wasn't a failure, it was a temporary defeat. You know, we made this thing, and everybody says, what in the heck would I want that for? Okay, let's come at this a different angle, and how do we bring this to market?
Well, Blab is a good example of that, actually. Blab was supposed to be something else, and it didn't work, they couldn't compete, and they decided to completely redo it, but they liked the name. So here we are. Now we have Blab. So it's an example of that.
Yeah. Yes. I missed that line and I read it, Sean.
And that's interesting because that was one of the shouting lines, as we say, you know, the ones that were on all caps.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm still see what I'm drawing.
I think the advantage, the advantage that I had is I was reading it as Sabrina used the F word.
Oh.
And so it like, you know, the two, I had
it's
that coming in my ear, and then, it kind of
really reinforced it, right?
Now, see, and I see Mastermind Group, power, specialized knowledge. That's all that kept popping out at me, even whether or not it was capped. I
didn't remember hearing about the Mastermind Group the first time I read it. It wasn't until today I was like, oh, wow, he actually had these groups. I heard the story of Ford, and I heard these other pieces, but when you reread it today, I was like, oh, Mastermind Groups. Wow, even that like, I didn't realize that they had.
That's where it originated. As far as we know, that's where it originated, was the term of the gathering of two or more willing to share their knowledge in problem solving. Because you get, left to your own devices, are you able to solve the problem on your own? And when you're not, you have to bring in another head, right? So two heads are better than one.
Right.
And
hence the name Mastermind. You take this gathering of
and
minds,
then it becomes one,
a mastermind.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to jump off. It was nice seeing you guys this morning.
Okay, Eric. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
I have no idea how to pronounce this name. Welcome, and tell us what your name is. Paulinia or?
Oh.
Okay. So, hi, Mikey. Good to see you. And Sabrina, are you caught up now on what the F word is? Yeah, Sean looked like he was going to go naughty, but he didn't, did he? All right. So that was good stuff, Eric. That was good stuff, especially in the world as we know it today, and the stories we know about those who have succeeded in building a business and obtaining the monies that they had in mind to obtain. Mikey, I'm hoping that you've had an opportunity to read the book, and I hope you have an opportunity to read it as you go home tonight. So then we have those of us who are wondering what the heck I should do next. And what I liked was, again, I'm going to go back to knowledge. Go out and get it. So even if I don't have, not even if, sometimes what I want to do requires that I have to gain a little bit more knowledge. So I have to be taught by somebody. So a for instance would be, I have a business coach that I'm working with. We meet every Monday afternoon. And I'm not going to say never, Eric.
Never's those are never always. Those are words that I try to keep out of vocabulary.
And move on and bug somebody else. That's what young people do. So anyway, the point is that I'm getting from somebody else very focused, specific things for me to learn, to do,
and apply.
And apply.
Which is key, because knowledge by itself is
it's just my world, and
I
am perfectly content in it, but I want more. So,
right.
But the interesting thing is that I'm tasked with things that I will come back and we're going to review. And what did I learn? And did it work? And why didn't it work? But it's very specific and very, very targeted. So I want to increase my knowledge in some skill sets, but also just in general knowledge about where I'm moving my business to. And I need somebody else to help me get there. So, that's what I do. Then, of course, go back to the Mastermind. I've moderated one since 2009, and it's just business owners, and it's problem solving. Meet, every 3 weeks for hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's pretty focused, most times. Sometimes it gets off track, but been together that long, But the core group is, I know where I'm going to go. I'm going to,
right.
Now you know what we're going to do. They get there and they say, boom, this is what happened to my business. I don't know what to do next. Or
right.
we ask,
get past this hurdle.
Yeah, there's a hurdle. Or, we want to know how well it worked, because now that you've tried it, we're ready to try it ourselves, kind of thing. But it's a
pool of knowledge.
Yes, there you go. That's where I was trying to go with it, the pool of knowledge. So go out and seek it for ourselves, and then put it to use. And then I know there's great value in sharing what I know.
Yeah, and I think that's the big value of a mastermind, because yes, there are classes, there are books, there are blog posts. There's a million different sources of learning out there for us. But the advantage is because you and I are two different people, and we've got Sabrina and Eric and several other people here, that because of our own experiences, beliefs, values, etc., as we've been talking about all along, we've picked out, and like the example of the reading, you read it, I read it, you got something out of it, I got something different. So because of our different perspectives, that's extremely valuable, because sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees, and somebody else says, oh, no, it's right over here. And that's the major value to me of the mastermind. The accountability is great, but I really appreciate the fact that we come with different perspectives, and we see a situation or a process differently, and can offer insight to each other.
Yeah, that's what I like, is the insight. Because I have processes that work, and yet when I hear somebody else's, I realize that a minor tweak or adjustment, and it works better.
Right, or like the buzzword today, hacks.
It is such a crass word. So crass, so is blab. Blab. It just strikes me as a crass word. It's appropriate, and people are still trying to get me okay with the word hack, but the connotation.
I say you don't ever have to be okay with the word. It can be like sandpaper, and that's okay.
Yeah, but it's fine grit. It's fine grit, so it's all right. Poor Chuck. You are so wonderfully persistent. Let's see if
he is trying and trying and trying.
And I know you've been refreshing.
And I wonder if he's been on a blab before, and it might be his camera permission.
Oh. Well, we're not getting audio either, but yes, okay, Chuck. So if you're using Chrome,
anything on Chrome, make sure it's Chrome, not Safari, not Firefox.
Right. So be in Chrome, and I've learned I've not had to have this for myself, but in the upper right corner of the address bar, you'll see a video camera that where you can access the settings for your microphone and webcam, regardless of the device you're using.
And give it permission, because sometimes the browser can be set to deny access to the camera.
Thank you. Yes.
And it could be internet connection. I've had that problem, this morning. I woke up, had my coffee, was ready to jump on and listen, and my internet wasn't working, and I'm like, how am I going to start my day without morning mindset?
How do you do that? I don't know. I don't want to find out. I would have wigged out.
Yeah.
I have no idea what'll happen if, honestly, I should probably say that now, is that every once in a while, my connection gets wiggy. It's usually not early morning, but, could have something happen with towers and what have you. And if I don't have connection, I don't know for sure that I would be able to access, because I'm hardwired. The Wi-Fi would be through the cell phone, but if I don't have internet access through my router, I don't have Wi-Fi either. So I guess that's, if I don't show up, y'all know why, right? Somebody start one of, that have a backup co-host that can do the chapter, Sean. It's the accessing, because it's through my profile.
Yeah, and I've seen that. I've seen a couple times when people set up a blab and they had a good subscriber count.
Yeah, and no show.
No, it wasn't no show. When they tried to go in, something went wrong. They couldn't get in, and so because when you start it, you can't start the recording until you get somebody else in the seat.
Right.
Or so
you can't have just you have to have an open seat to start the record, get it on the record.
There's
you can
some
just
glitch.
record yourself.
If you don't do the recording, and you happen to drop, if you don't have somebody in the seat, then and you drop out, the blab's gone, even if you had record.
Okay.
So if you can't get in, then the subscription, and once you've gone in and it failed, it basically says the blab is over and all your subscribers come to watch, and it's not there. And a lot of people start over with a new blab,
and nobody knows.
Fine, but they unless you have a way to notify people,
right.
Who subscribed. I usually, like, when I see somebody that happens to, I'll go back to the subscribe blab and put in the comments the link to the new blab, because
it's a good idea.
People subscribe for a reason. The topic interested them and they wanted to be there.
Well, they wanted to be there, yeah. All right, so let's wrap this up, and so I can get off the recording and we can have general discussion and what have you. How's that sound? So I want to thank you, for those who are watching the replay, for watching. I hope you've been reading along with us, getting some ideas and some new perspectives of what it means to have knowledge. What do you do with it? What is focused knowledge versus just acquired knowledge? And which one should you have? Which, of course, is focus. Put it into action so that you can make the money that it is you want to make, right? So again, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That is the website, www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. So until next time, have a great day.